Oh, I'm so ready for February. January 2023 has come and gone, and that's crazy that we are already a month into 2023. There were some movies that came out. A lot of people really like some of them. I was pretty disappointed by most of them. I saw 6 new releases in January, and there were some of them, a couple of them that I just didn't get around to that I want to watch at some point. But for the sake of full transparency, I'm only going to talk about the movies that I watched specifically in January that came out in January, including movies that are technically 2022 movies, but wide released in January. And I'm going to do this for every month this year. I'm trying to figure out stuff to do content on, so I think this is a fun idea. And I got inspired by Sean Chandler to do this, so shout out to him for that. And without further ado, let's get it started. Number 6 is going to be Infinity Pool. This is just not the kind of movie for me, and I've talked about this ad nauseum. I am just not into movies that are overly trippy and metaphorical and weird and don't really have much of a coherent story and compelling characters that you care about and are invested in. I am a story and character guy. That is the thing that I care about by far the most, those two things. And a movie, if stuff looks cool and has good metaphors and good themes, doesn't really do much for me if I'm not invested in the story and characters. And I was just completely at arm's length to everyone and everything going on in this movie. I understand and appreciate some of the stuff they were going for, but this is just totally not for me. I mean, there was a scene that was like a trippy, weird kind of sex scene that went on for like 5 minutes. I'm like, oh, good Lord. I mean, towards the end, they have a scene where like there's like a character acting like a dog, and then there's a grown man getting breastfed. That's the second straight year where there's a movie with that in it, so that's just not my kind of thing at all. Number 5 is going to be Plane. This movie disappointed me quite a bit. A lot of people were hyping it up, saying it's a pretty good action movie. I thought it was very, very forgettable. I mean, some of the stuff on the actual island was kind of good. Some of the gunfights, and Gerard Butler, of course, is good in the role. I mean, this is the type of stuff that he does a lot and is very good at. But his character, and honestly, pretty much all of the characters in this movie are very paper thin, and just they give you pretty generic and stereotypical backstories for action movie characters. Fortunately, a good portion of the movie was spent on the actual plane, which it's titled Plane. I get that. But I thought it was going to be more on the island. And the plane stuff was pretty well done. But inherently, it's shaky cam. And I'm just not a fan of shaky cam whatsoever. It gives me a headache, and I don't enjoy watching it. Again, I understand that it has to be shaky cam given the location and what's going on. But I can't stand watching that stuff. And ultimately, the stuff on the island kind of ended up disappointing me because kind of certain characters come in and the stakes don't end up being nearly as high as they are, and they kind of seem to get out of this situation a little bit easier than you would have hoped. So it's a movie that is not boring, but definitely one that I found very forgettable and will never watch again. Number 4 is going to be Megan. This is a movie that a lot of people really liked. I was not a huge fan of it. I do like the idea. I love the idea of taking this character who has lost a lot, and she's living with her aunt now who can't really pay her much attention. So her aunt gives her this AI doll who becomes basically the little girl's new companion, and she kind of becomes attached to it. And then the AI obviously goes bad, and it's kind of a story that we've seen before, but it's still an interesting one and makes for a pretty entertaining movie. Unfortunately, what holds this one back is it takes a little bit too long to get going. And once it does, the payoff just isn't really that satisfying. I think part of that is due to the fact that it got cut down to PG-13. And watching the movie, I was like, man, it really feels like this was originally intended to be rated R, but they watered it down a little bit to get it to PG-13 so that they can make more money. Turns out that was true. The director came out and said it was originally supposed to be rated R. So that was pretty disappointing. It was a movie that I feel like could have been better if we could have seen more of the gore and stuff, could have been more impactful And I just didn't really connect to any of the characters either. So I did enjoy Megan, and the dance scene was fun. It wasn't a boring movie, but it was also surprisingly funny. I certainly wished that it was better, and I hope that the sequel will be better. Number 3 is going to be Missing. Man, a trend here. Another one that disappointed me. This movie was fine, and it gets off to a fairly good start. The best part of the movie by far is Storm Reid as the main character. Such a likable and relatable person that you definitely root for to find her mom and figure out what the hell is going on. And her relationship with Joaquim de Almeida, I hope I said that right. Maybe I butchered the hell out of his name. I'm sorry if I did, but he's the guy that plays Reyes in Fast 5. Great character in this movie, and the relationship between Storm Reid and his character is easily one of the better parts of the movie. There's definitely some good humor here and there. They utilize technology very well again, just like they did in Searching. Unfortunately, I just didn't find the movie nearly as compelling or thrilling or engaging as Searching was. I thought it had some pacing problems. Either things were getting thrown at you way too fast, or just kind of screech to a halt and get a little boring at times. Then the ultimate reveal was just a little bit too much. It feels like they're trying to go too big with it, too surprising, and by the end of the movie, it gets a little bit goofy. So some good stuff in here, but it was a pretty big letdown for me considering how much I absolutely loved Searching. At number 2, I have Women Talking. This is one of those movies that is a 2022 movie, but just released widely in January 2023. This is one that there's a lot to appreciate about it. I love the acting. I thought everyone was really good, particularly Rooney Mara and the guy that plays August were great. And I love the discussions in this movie and the dialogue and talking about all of the horrible things they have had to endure at the hands of these men. And I can't believe that this took place in 2010. I assumed it was a long time ago. It's crazy that there are still communities like this that treat women like this, and this is still going on. And discussions about what they plan to do, whether they want to leave or stay and fight, very compelling. It's a very important movie with a great message, and I just don't know if I'm going to rewatch it very often. It didn't hold my attention for the entire runtime. There were times where I kind of zoned out a little bit. And there's also too many characters to the point where they can't exactly flesh them all out to where you would like them to be. But it's definitely a movie that does a lot of things right. At number 1, I have A Man Called Otto, another 2022 movie that just released wide in January. I quite dug this movie. I thought that Tom Hanks is great in the lead role. He plays a very bitter character. I mean, it's a movie, we've seen this type of thing before. We've seen this type of character arc before, but it lands because Hanks does such a great job with it, and they do a really good job fleshing out this character so that his arc works, and some of the arcs of the other characters were really good, and his relationships with them. Definitely, that was some of the best stuff in the movie. It's emotional, it's heartfelt, it's got some moments of humor sprinkled in there. It's definitely too long. It feels like they got a little bit repetitive at times, and I'm not entirely sure if I love the ending. Of course, it's kind of a predictable movie. We've seen this kind of thing before, but I thought for the most part it landed because of the performances and the writing and how well these characters, how much we like these characters and their interactions with each other, and their character arcs felt genuine. So there you have it, guys. There's my ranking of all 6 January 2023 movies that I saw in January. I am so ready for February and all of the rest of the year, starting with Ant-Man. Basically, every week throughout the rest of the year is going to have at least one big release. So that's going to be awesome. This year is absolutely stacked for movies. It's going to be a really fun year. Can't wait to talk about those, review those, and do rankings and stuff. It's going to be a ton of fun. January, it was a bit slow. That tends to be the case. Even the movies that a lot of people liked, I was not a massive fan of, like Megan and Missing and Plane, were movies that a lot of people seem to like. Not so much me. So drop a comment below if you saw some of those movies. How would you rank the movies that you saw in January 2023? And if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. Likes are super important. Help push my video out to more people and grow my channel. So just takes a second. If you like it, please do that. If you enjoy my content in general, subscribe, hit the notification bell to get notified when I post a video. And stay tuned. I got a lot more stuff coming. I'll see you soon.